But now, Mark,
Here we go.
now we're here. I know we've talked about this. You know how excited I am about this, and I know like there's a special place in your heart for this franchise as well.
Absolutely.
We're here with the first Mission Impossible movie. This is from a release date of May 22nd, 1996. It had a running time of just under 2 hours.
These movies are like 2.5 hours now. And like,
Yeah.
I sat down and watched it today. I texted you when I was sitting down this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, wait, they're almost wrapping this thing up. Like, it was the perfect length for this kind of movie.
Pacing.
So good.
But you know, something that like totally shocked me with this film is that, so it was made in 1995 to be, released in 96, right? So that the budget was $80 million. And
Wow.
if you adjust that, that for inflation, it's like about 100% inflation, to today's dollars. You're talking about $167 million in 2025.
Interesting.
This is way before the Marvel budgets. And do you remember 2008? Up until about COVID, that time, the budgets were insanely high.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds.
Just ridiculous. Yeah.
Seeing this, I guess it's because of like, that's the star power of Tom Cruise. And if he's producing it, first time producing.
Interesting. Did not know that.
Cruise and his, used to be his agent, Paula Wagner, they created Cruise Wagner Productions. And then this was the first movie that they produced together.
Wow. What a fantastic film. Watching this today really got me excited for what we're doing. Like it really sets and this is only with retrospect, right? Like we wouldn't know this back in the day, but this movie really sets up even though they're wildly different, all of the movies to follow. Like it is such its own thing. I love it so much.
So I'm looking at now the like production team and the like creative leads. So here's what I have. Brian DePalma, which I think is an awesome choice.
Best.
What's that type of look, Mark, where you'll have a shot
split diopter.
Yeah, he does that all the time.
All over this movie. It's insane.
And it's really fun and disorienting to see,
Yeah. Totally.
I love that effect.
That's one of the well, I mean, we'll get into it, but that's one of the things I love about Brian DePalma and why I think he works so well in a movie like this is every shot is so thoughtful with the really slow camera movement and the placement of everyone and everything on screen. Like you can pause it in nearly any scene and there's information to be gleaned all over the place. It's so meticulously well made.
So writers, you have David Koepp and Robert Towne. From the story, there was also two really interesting things I learned about the movie. George Lucas gave a piece of really crucial advice that changed the opening of the movie. The movie didn't open with them having that, hey, we're around the table talking about what we're about to do at the embassy and explain who is who and what their roles are going to be. Lucas was like, no, you need to have like, hey, here's the mission.
It's a great scene. And for that, and also because it is the most 90s heist movie scene ever of a bunch of young, other than Jon Voight. Jon Voight's been 80 for like 35 years, by the way. He's an old man forever. But it's all these young, attractive people sitting around a table and they're international spies. They all want to fuck each other and they're joking and laughing about it's like, it is so 90s in every way.
The other thing too is I've never seen the TV series. Have you seen the TV series?
No, God, no.
But I do know that Voight's character, Jim Phelps, he was one of the main team members.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Not like in the first season. I think like in the second season or something like that. But that's what I love about like the team on this movie. I'm talking about the creative team now. The balls they have to say, we're going to take a massive storytelling risk, and we're going to do two things which are very unusual for Mission Impossible. We're going to kill off most of the original team within 20 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
And or like the team we're starting with,
right?
And we're making Phelps the villain.
Yeah,
that was so awesome. I thought just of a twist.
Very ballsy. Very ballsy.
The only thing Voight. And then the Claire character, who was his wife, and Jean Reno, that are like the three, you don't know until later they're all the villains.
Right.
The Voight part, okay, was pretty clear and made sense. Jean Reno, how like he gets hooked up with this team, like he's part of the disavowed list, but
Right.
how does he? That part was kind of strange to me.
There's a little bit of a leap in the suspension of disbelief there for sure.
I mean, maybe I'm being a little too picky. Like I don't know, but
no, I think it's because it's like, okay, great. On this list of all the avowed agents, it's a good thing he chose the guy who is a part of the bad guy team. You know what I mean? It's very convenient.
And the Jim Phelps, Claire, his wife, and Ethan Hunt love triangle part was also kind of it's like more implied, but it also didn't make sense. I don't think Ethan and Claire ever kiss. Like there's tension for sure, but I don't think anything ever happens. And I kind of liked that. She grabs his hand, they like hold each other at some point. Yeah, but like nothing happens, and I kind of like that because like you don't need that in every single movie, you know? Yeah. So the music, so they originally were going to have the Alan Silvestri from the Avengers to actually do the music, but they replaced him with Danny Elfman, who I thought did a great job.
Amazing choice.
So Danny Elfman, I love this soundtrack. I mean, I know we like it because there's also other tracks like Cranberries put in there at the end of the movie.
Right.
Lalo Schifrin's actual Mission Impossible theme is used at great moments throughout the movie, of course. But Danny Elfman, there's a scene where Ethan and Phelps are sitting at a cafe, and Ethan realizes that it was Phelps who killed off the team. And there's this opera-type music playing in the background. Everything's happening in slow motion. It's eerie as fuck. And it's
so good.
That music was just...
Yeah. Danny Elfman's a great choice for this. And I love that scene because it's Ethan realizing that the guy he's sitting with is the bad guy, but he has to make it seem like he's going along with him.
With his
and it
story.
was kind of like, And I thought Tom Cruise, like, say what you want about the guy. The dude can act. It's a really good scene. So tense. He's putting together, this is the guy that just killed all my friends, but I need to pretend like what he's saying, I'm believing. Yeah.
You can kind of tell, like, they're both pretending, but they also kind of feel like maybe we both know.
Yeah, totally.
With that, let's just run through the cast for a second here. Tom Cruise, 33 when making this movie.
Unbelievable. Oh my God. That's crazy.
And now he's as old as Jon Voight was when he made the first Mission Impossible movie, which is, you got Ving Rhames, who is always great. I mean, Luther.
I forgot that he was in it for the whole thing. I knew he was in this movie, but for some reason my brain was like, I don't know why I thought he was one of came along with Simon Pegg or something later.
I love how the Luther character has managed to be in every installment, and in the only time where you thought maybe he's not in this movie at all is number 4, Ghost Protocol, but they sneak him in at the very end. I love that.
Really? That's great.
We're getting our phones for the next whatever mission, and I'm just wondering if he's like, hey, you're not leaving me out of this movie.
Yeah, right.
You're going to...
Right. I'm a part of this now, yeah.
Yeah, Ving Rhames in this one, Jean Reno, who was, I think, pretty
great
good.
addition. Amazing.
Vanessa Redgrave as Max, the lady who was trying to buy. And, okay, in Dead Reckoning and in Fallout, there's a character called White Widow. And this is a part like Christopher McQuarrie says, hey, I'm not going to go back to earlier stories and do like fan lip service. I don't like that. I've been bitten by that before. He says that. And then I watch Fallout and the White Widow character is talking about my mother, Max. And I'm like,
oh, wow. Good catch. Holy shit.
So he totally is, he'll do it when he wants to do it. He's not doing it as what do you call fan lip service. So I guess that's maybe what he means, but
that's a great catch. I mean, I'm just so excited to get into all these movies now.
Emmanuel Baer plays Claire. She was good in it.
She's great.
Kristin Scott Thomas. She was in it for too short of a period.
Who did she play? Was she the lady that Ethan's with, like in the gala?
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Okay. Yeah.
There's an actor named Henry Cerny. He plays the character Kittredge.
Yeah, he was great. He's really good. He comes back, doesn't he?
He's back in Dead Reckoning, and he's going to be back in Final Reckoning.
Great. I like that character a lot.
But dude, there's a person that I wish had a longer lifeline in this movie.
Yeah. Me and you two both, brother. You're gonna say Emilio Estevez.
Absolutely. Just
dude, the movie opens with Emilio Estevez, which I completely forgot about. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Emilio Estevez, I completely forgot that this movie is responsible for part of my vernacular, and in a line I use all the time when I'm saying goodbye to people. Emilio Estevez says to Tom Cruise, "Smash the gum together to create the bomb. Hasta lasagna, don't get it on ya."
Yeah.
Such a great line. I say that all the time. I had no idea it was from this movie.
Oh my.
Good. He's great.
And dude, the whole thing of like where he is playing the tech guy, and I love that whole gum thing, the red light, green light, several times in the movie at the aquarium restaurant and the train scene at the end. That adds like some really fun action.
Definitely.
As far as style, like with the movie, we talked about that a little bit. I love with this franchise, and this movie kicked it off, of course, that when the fuse part is lit at the beginning and we get the title sequence, it's intercut with all of the future scenes of the movie.
Yeah. It shows everything. It shows all of them dying. It shows Voight being the bad guy. Like, everything is cut in the first 15 seconds of the movie.
But I love it how it's so haphazard that you can't process.
No,
really.
you never would see it.
And it gets, I think each installment does it better and better. Fallout, I think, does a really like the best job because with the music, the editing, all of that. And then for DePalma's usual visual flair, we talked about the split diopter shots. Like that's just, really crazy.
So good. So, okay. Brian De Palma was like, I think the reason why one is my favorite is because it is a spy movie, like the most, and stylized in a very interesting way that you would not typically take the spy movie in, I love this franchise. I think the movies are great. Some are better than others. The later ones are fantastic, but they do feel like they become more James Bondy, and they kind of start following a mold of like, hey, we're going to have one giant Tom Cruise stunt, and then let's build around that. And we need cool cutting edge technology that will fail. And which granted happens in this movie as well. And we need a big stunt, and then we'll build the movie from there, which is great because they make for amazing movies. But I feel like they're missing this really interesting, fun, playful style that this one has. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this one also has things like Ethan makes mistakes. He totally misses things. And, I mean,
totally.
Now, eventually they recovered from this, but there is a part where in this franchise, I felt like it went away from the team and then more like, as you said, Cruise, the superhuman guy.
Right.
But I feel like really once you get to like the Brad Bird, Christopher McQuarrie era, like then that kind of comes back. Then like why you're going to hear me like just talk crazy about the McQuarrie time is because the team really comes back into focus in those stories.
That's a good point, dude.
But of course the posters are all just big face of Tom Cruise.
Right. It starts following a certain, not script, like a certain formula. Which is fine.
Yeah.
But like, what if they had did a different director for each one? Like what if they were like, hey, Darren Aronofsky, like, why don't you come make PTA? Why don't you come do this? Wes Anderson, want to make a mission? Like, you know what I mean? Imagine what that would be like.
One of the things with this movie, Mark, that I absolutely loved was the sound design. Everything about the sound design in this movie. I have a few examples here that I just want to mention. When they're at Langley doing the heist, there's a couple of moments there. One is the rat that's in the, what do you call it?
In the vent. Yeah.
It's supposed to be silent, but like, how do you feel that silence? How do you feel the tension? It's like, well,
how interesting.
Have little scratchy sounds and have little, like, to make you just so tense and focused.
Oh my God. That's a great catch, dude. Really.
This movie had some moments which were absolutely not possible, but I think we all enjoy them anyways. And it involves a sound moment here. Ethan's almost falls to the ground, in that room, in that CIA room. There's a bead of sweat that comes down the glasses.
Yeah.
And he catches it.
Yeah, totally. And like he's like this far above the ground, and there's a shot of him like catching a drop of water. Yeah,
we're like
so silly. But dude, that scene, watching it today, I really had a new appreciation for it because, and I'm really glad that you just mentioned that rat idea of because what caught my attention of it was there's no so they're breaking into the most highly secure room in the CIA. Like you can't fart in this room without the alarms going off, and there's no music, and he's hanging from the ceiling, and there's not any music. It's dead silent, and then how do you need to show how silent is it? Is you can hear a rat scurry through the vent. It's such a beautiful scene.
Rat scurry. There's also like a slight hum of like if there's air conditioning or ventilation, like you hear a little bit of that hum. And now some of the iconic scenes and like set pieces. A few that stand out, of course, the embassy mission at the beginning.
Yes.
All the little cool things that they did, like when they have the character named Hannah, it's like, all right, turn the shades on. So everything went black and white.
Right.
And then there's like a little like spray, that marks the guy, like so they can follow.
And she can see where he's going around and stuff.
Yeah. Things like
that's
that. That's
what I love about this series is the technology. Is like they always have the most cutting edge tech for the most hyper specific instance that you would only be in this one instance and never anywhere else. And it always breaks. It always breaks every single time. It's so much fun. Like I'm not like being sarcastic when I say this. It's literally one of my favorite parts of this series. And one of the things I'm excited about in May is like, what tech is going to fail? Like how is he going to get into trouble?
Dude, Brad Bird from Ghost Protocol, he talks about that, like the glove, like what that's supposed to help Ethan climb up the, Burj Khalifa.
Side of the building, yeah. And then it fails and he falls.
This the whole embassy part, the next part being also the restaurant, like when Ethan goes to talk to Kittredge and then like throws the gum and that huge aquarium, falls. That stunt where we see Ethan run as the water falls from the tank, that's when he starts doing his own stunts. He's like, it doesn't, seeing a stunt guy on the monitor, I'm not buying it. I'll do it. You know what I mean? And so
that's really cool. That's the scene where Tom Cruise is being accused of being the mole.
Yeah.
And because he's the only one that survived the mission, he must be the mole that they're trying to hunt. And so he blows up the aquarium, he jumps in with all this water. And that's when Tom Cruise was like, oh, I'm doing this from now on. That's amazing.
As you were saying also, like even before the tank blows up and the water and all that, all the little details. It's like, hey, the people at the embassy that were following us, they're all around this restaurant. They're, the patrons, the staff. Like, I'm not buying that this is, just, people here. I love how they even show you clips of people from the embassy scene, and it's them. Yeah.
It's the same people. That's the thing I really liked about this movie with Brian DePalma. He really trusts the audience to watch and to listen and to put things together. Like there's really no, other than like, him realizing something and saying it out loud, like there's no hand holding here. And I think that's why I remember at the time, a lot of people got lost in this movie is he's really trusting you to engage and watch and listen. And I really like films where like, the director and the filmmakers respect you as the audience. And it's not being complicated for the sake of being complicated. It's just like reading between the lines. And like when Claire gets back to the hotel room after the failed mission, Ethan pulls a gun on her because like, how are you alive? Why are you here? How did you know to find me here? And she goes, well, we were told to meet back here at 4:00 if the mission fails. And in the background, you hear the church bell chime 4 times saying like, hey, it's now 4:00. Like just this movie's just like, full of the closer you look, the more you get out of it. Yeah. I really admire that a lot.
The Langley scene, everything about Langley, like from, them going there as firefighters to Claire, as a, what do you call it? An associate working there with her pen, putting something in the guy's drink. Just every little detail. When Ethan stops John Reno with the knife, and then later we see that knife has like, oh, I know that knife.
It's a callback to earlier. Yeah.
Totally. And then, of course,
so good.
The suspension above the ground and the sound design we were just talking about. All of that just really great. The diopter scene, with
Yeah.
Kittredge afterwards. So
It's full of fun.
the Langley thing is really just, I think, the set piece of the movie, for sure.
Definitely.
The TGV though, also that everything with the train, I really
Mm,
think that looking back at it now, tell me, man, how you feel about this.
mm.
Really impressive special effects for
Yes,
1996.
definitely. Definitely.
I- when they're up on the train, maybe even a little bit when they're up on that train, up on the roof, might have looked even better than Dead Reckoning's up on the train scene a little bit. I'm like,
We'll have to revisit this when we get to Dead Reckoning and compare the
yeah,
two. Because I'm
yeah.
curious now. I don't remember Dead Reckoning's train scene, but this looked really good for 96.
But with the TGV scene, so what is it? Hunt and Phelps hanging off the train, the helicopter getting dragged inside the
Yes.
train, and that had like a humor moment too, because Cruise kicks Phelps, grabs the hook, puts it onto the train, and goes
Yeah.
ha,
Yeah. I laughed out loud at that part.
as you said, it had these kind of good comedic beats at times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's true. And you know what else it had? I got to mention this because it's one of my favorite things in movies it's two things. One of them is old 90s and earlier computer technology,
oh my
which is
God,
they're using the big gray boxes with the big monitors.
yeah.
I love that shit. I love seeing stuff like that. And then even more is the software that
Yeah.
is specific for a movie or a TV show.
Totally.
And how they all the websites that they're on that beep and boop and stuff. And then Saurabh, there was this moment I was laughing so hard where Tom Cruise just gets back to the hotel room after the failed mission. His whole team is dead. He's desperate. He's looking for a lead. So he goes to this weird, I don't even know what it is. I guess it's a website, but it's definitely not a website. But it's like an internet. He connects to the internet by literally typing into a console, internet access.
Yeah.
And he hits enter and it opens this weird page and he has a name, Max, the arms dealer lady. And when he's typing stuff in, he types in max.com. It was before we understood what a website was, and that's a totally normal thing that you would type in to try to find information on a secret international arms dealer. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
But no, dude, I another funny thing I remember regarding the design, where there's ancient technology or ancient internet or whatever. There was a funny moment where they're on the TGV and they're Luther is trying to block Max from copying the knock list.
I know what you're going to say.
He's going to point the phone on his computer. He just types "send jamming signal."
Yes.
And
yeah, just the most literal thing. It doesn't work like that. And then I laughed at that moment too, that exact moment. And then he turns his Nokia to face them to send the jamming signal. And there's a green light that's blinking. And every time it blinks, it goes beep, beep, beep. And it's that's not suspicious at all.
Yeah.
There was in the Langley room, in the the secret, the secure room, there's a giant sign that's electronic and bolted into the wall, and it says intruder systems activated or something. And when he leaves the room, the word on turns on, and it's just that would never be a thing ever. Who is that for? The intrude let me let you know. Good.
Don't you do this, because
I know. It's no one would ever see that. It's so good.
These are the really incredible set pieces. And my favorite use of the Mission Impossible score, that theme song, is that TGV part of the movie. Cruise jumps onto the helicopter and he's going to do the red light, green light thing. And they just play that score really, really hard. Yeah. And that's great.
It's a chill inducing moment for sure. That was the moment of hey, Mission Impossible is a thing now for 1990s and beyond. This is the new thing.
And then, character and plot stuff that either I didn't get or I wanted to ask you. Claire's character, I also put as kind of odd.
I did not believe her and Jon Voight being married. that
Correct.
was like, okay, she
Yeah.
is like the most beautiful 30-something-year-old woman you've ever seen in your life. And he's
Yeah.
Jon Voight.
The Jean Reno, part I mentioned also, like, how does he get looped in? But okay,
Right.
we're just gonna go with it. Cool. And he's a good
Right.
actor. So
Yeah.
um Henry Czerny's part as Kittredge, there's no complaint here actually. I love him, and I wish he had been in more of the other
I
installments
agree.
before Dead Reckoning. Like
He's a great foil for Ethan.
we talked about like ancient tech, like the ancient internet, email, the computers, all of
The
that. Just
jamming system that
yeah.
so cheesy.
The other thing though that like was not clear to me was I get that Phelps and Max communicated, and I guess it was through Bible verses or something, but the whole Bible
Right.
stuff was very I still to this day don't fully get it. Like Job,
Yeah.
like Job is his code name. I'm going to send you ciphers through these Bible passages, I guess.
Yeah, that was very bizarre. So Phelps takes on, when he's speaking in code to this like lady who's trying to buy this secret list of names, he uses Job from the Bible as like a pseudonym. And then like the Bible strangely becomes like a part of this movie. Okay, Saurabh, this is really weird now that you mention it, because Tom Cruise, when he's trying to trick Max into thinking that he's Job, he sends a Bible verse. And then later Max goes, I knew it wasn't you because the Job I speak to has never sent scripture before. And then a weird amount of time is spent showing Tom Cruise writing several different Bible verses out, and like him looking at the Bible and like typing it out. There's a scene where Jean Reno like knocks the Bible off, and he's interrupted in writing the script. It's like, what? Why is this included?
Even earlier on, like everyone dies, and then Claire comes back, and Ethan, they regroup. He's writing the messages in different languages. Like
yes, that's
again,
right. He does German as well.
So Mark, here, this is what I mean by this movie. I get that like DePalma and the writers, they want you to work a little bit for it, but I go back and forth being like, all right, this is cool. And then like, I'm on the verge of being annoyed.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, totally.
So some things at the end, which I thought were some fun extras. I loved when Luther and Ethan are at that cafe at the end. Everything's good now. Like, that Cranberry song playing in the background. And it was the first time that song was being introduced. I'm like, I love that this is randomly in there. This is
totally,
I mean, I guess it fits like, hey, they're relaxed now. We're going to play some relaxing music.
It was the time, and if that was the new thing, we got to include something there.
And the ending. I love the very last thing, which is he's on a British Airways flight himself, just like Phelps at the beginning.
And it was like, oh, it's the secret tape that's going to give you the next mission. It's a perfect bookend because Jon Voight has that at the beginning. And it's like, hey, okay, the torch has been passed. This is the new guy, and this is who we're going to follow.
And when she says that, and his like eyes like kind of light up, the mission music cues up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it gave me chills. It's so good.
So good.
What a great movie. I loved this movie, and it really sets up the whole franchise well.
The thing for all of these 7 entries that I'm going to ask us to evaluate at the end is the 2 criteria, rewatchability and the villain. Rewatchability and the villain.
Great idea, dude.
If you, Mark, you got back home, you had a stressful day, you wanted to have something entertaining to watch, and you turn on, the TV, or you turn on streaming to something, and you see Mission 1. Is it one that you would definitely want to watch? You're like, oh, okay, maybe it has some cool stuff, or you're like, no, I'm gonna. Where would your excitement be at with this one?
Not excited, and I'll tell you why. Because it's not one that you can watch. I'm not going to watch it for a year. I'll tell you that much. Like, I just saw it. I just experienced it. I'm not going to watch it for a year. And 2 is you can't watch it halfway through. It's a whole experience. Yeah. And I mean that as a compliment to this movie. Like, it is it's like listening to an album that you need to listen to, like a Pink Floyd album, where you need to put it on and you need to end it, and you cannot listen to it out of order. It's an experience.
You can't.
So I don't think I would watch it, dude. Really.
There are definitely like movies and shows where like I'm okay to watch like, oh, this was a good scene. Like I'm gonna queue up this scene. I can't do that with this movie. Yeah, like as you said, like I agree. I love it all the way through. And you said the pacing is great, so like it really you don't feel like
That's
you're being
true.
kind of dragged into something. Now, as part of the rewatchability, does it age well, or did it age well?
I think it aged great.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
and just with all its weirdness and everything, and with the context of all the other films that have come out, I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's like a foundation of everything.
for me, the excitement, I would say, like, I'd be reasonably, looking forward to seeing that movie. Like, if I was on a flight and I saw that the flight,
Yeah,
library had it, I'd be like, hey, yeah, like I might watch a little bit of this. You know what I mean?
totally.
But but compared to the others, like the other ones later on, I get super psyched for, and I would definitely
Right.
watch those, even for just some scenes.
Totally. And that's a good point, Saurabh, is like the thing is compared to the other ones, this movie doesn't have a big stunt. It has a big
Mm.
scene in Langley where he's dangling from the ceiling, but it doesn't have the same production that the other ones have. It's sort of a more toned down version.
And you know what's interesting with that? Like, think of these other ones that have followed, other installments, and those stunts alone, and probably the visuals and everything, are so expensive that
Hmm.
this movie, I told you, cost 80 million. Do you know what the worldwide box office was?
No.
457 million. It's the most successful entry in the franchise. Is still the first one.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Why
And,
is that? That's so weird.
and I purely mean that in terms of scale. You know what I mean? Like, because
Yeah.
if you look at the other ones, like you look at Rogue Nation, Fallout, they've had box office of like 600, 700 million, but their cost was significantly higher.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
first one can proudly say still, in terms of scale, it's the most successful. You know,
That's really fascinating because also, and I feel like this is going to be a common theme that we talk about, but like this movie came out before social media and before smartphones.
hmm
Attention was a lot easier to focus back then. This movie would be terrible. I would hate this movie today if it came out. You know what I mean?
10 years before the iPhone is out,
Mm-hmm.
so
Different world.
or yeah, 11 years, but just, and then the villain. So Jim Phelps, Jon Voight playing the main villain. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Pretty lame. Like I love the idea of like that's a cool continuation, but
Mm.
there's nothing interesting to me about this
Mm.
villain. There's nothing that hooks me. Like I love a villain. I love a good villain arguably better than I love a good hero. And it was just greed that was like there was nothing cool about this guy.
And then, Mark, so those are the two criteria. Then there's just a little other thing I like to ask, because every installment has it. I don't know if this one does so much, but the Tom Cruise sprint. And
Yeah,
ev-
right. Totally.
every installment.
Every installment has it.
In this movie, I was trying to think, where is that? And I'm thinking
Does
when
he
he run,
sprint? Yeah, like at the beginning, if he sprints, it's for a very short amount of time.
when he's running on the bridge, and I think,
Yes, that's
and
it.
and maybe when he's running away from the aquarium. I think
Hmm.
that's it. Like,
I think you're right. And in this one, it's not like aware of itself yet. It's just
yeah,
like, hey, we're on the bridge and Tom Cruise is in a rush. So of course he's going to run. And now it's a selling point. And it's like, oh, well, what are you expecting to see in this Mission Impossible movie? It's like, well, I want to see the man run,
yeah.
you know?
As you said, the mold that the franchise has now. All right, the big death-defying stunt that we build around,
Yeah.
the technology that fails, and
And
then
the run.
and running. Yeah, the high knees,
Yeah.
full-on sprint.
Yeah, the hands by the ears. Yeah. You're right. That's part of what makes a Mission Impossible movie a Mission Impossible movie is
I just,
the big stunt, the technology, and the run.
Mark, why I love this franchise so much is that every time I see a Mission movie, I feel like a kid again. Like
Mm.
it's all the stuff that is like the movie making magic. Whatever cynicism is in me is gone for that like
Oh, I
two
love that.
that 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever that we're watching these movies now. It's like the whole like wonder of filmmaking. I'm back there as a kid and I'm just like, oh my God, I love being in this world, you
That's
know?
great, man. I love that.
So
I totally get that. That's a great note. And I totally understand it, because along with the great like set pieces and high concept stuff, there's also a humor to these movies that I feel like it isn't necessarily lacking in similar movies, but like, and we'll get to this later too, but Simon Pegg coming on was also a great addition because he kind of adds the levity to everything. Yeah. But let me ask you, like, and maybe this is a conversation for later in the series, but how do you think of this movie and this franchise related to Daniel Craig's James Bond?
Daniel Craig's James Bond, I, over time, just started to like it less and less because very dark, very gritty.
I stopped caring. I stopped watching them because for the exact reasons you just mentioned.
As you were saying earlier too, like I miss humor in movies and a little bit of lightness, and I feel like the Mission franchise has kept that, and if there were times where maybe one installment veered off, they're like, no, we're course correcting now. The next one very clearly course corrected.
Dude, I think that's a thing now. I think the gritty stuff is kind of the way of the buffalo. Like Luke, my housemate, and I sat down to watch a movie, and we saw Warcraft from 2000 something.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, cool. We both love dragons and we love castles and we love fantasy. Let's watch it. Could not make it through 15 minutes. It was taking itself so seriously. There was no levity. There was no humor. It was so dark, which I'm not opposed to dark. I love dark, but like for the sake of being scary and gritty, and we were like, no, we can't do this. I think the world, like us in the world and with politics and with everything happening, I don't think we can handle that anymore because it's our existence.
I think the small screen handles that better. I think because it doesn't depend as much on a wide audience as much to do it. As long as the subscribers stay with HBO or like any of these other platforms. But listeners, can you tell that we're just a little excited about this franchise? Just a little bit.
Just the tiniest amount.
And Mark, I can't wait to talk about Mission 2.
Me too, man.
And
I can't wait.
Just John Woo, the Tom Cruise hair from that movie. That whole movie is wild, and I have plenty, and I think you do too, like reasons to love and hate the film. It's a hodgepodge, and I can't wait to talk about it, man.
Me too, dude. It's super fun.
And a quick note before we go, if you enjoyed today's episode and want more like it, please follow Soundspeed Action on your podcasting platform. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And if you can drop us a review too, we'd really appreciate it. It really helps the podcast a lot. Thanks, and we'll be back with more episodes soon.